My homily today is based on the second reading, St. Paul's letter to the Romans. There was this woman who got married to a man who did not really love her or know how to love her. This man was very demanding and controlling. And to make sure that she fulfilled all her obligations as wife, the man drew up for her a set of rules. His long list of do's and don'ts included such things as when she would get up in the mornings, when to serve his breakfast, and what household chores she should do before he came back from work. Then many years later, this man died. With time, this woman met another man who really loved and treasured her. Soon they were married. Very soon they were married. And the new husband did not give her a long list, did not give her a list of do's and don'ts. He simply showered her with gesture of love and words of praise and compliments for everything she did. And one day, while cleaning the house, the woman found the old list of do's and don'ts that her former husband had made for her. And going through the list, she discovered that she had been doing those things and more for a new husband, even though he did not give her any rules. In fact, she had been doing them happily, with pleasure, and without stress, or mental stress today, without mental stress. So there are two ways of meeting our obligations to one another. One is by law. The other is by love. Where there is little love and responsibility, there will be many laws. Where there is love and responsibility and maturity, few laws are necessary to make us do things. Let's say if we open up the parish house, open to everybody, those who are mature and responsible people, without being told, we know what to do. They will wash the plates, they will prepare the chairs in the proper place and so on before they leave. Those who are very irresponsible, when they leave, you find the table very untidy and so on. So for this sort of people, the housekeeper have to draw out a long list of do and don'ts. Generally, 4 or 5 rules good enough. For all these immature people, irresponsible, 10 rules. Save your lives. So in today's second reading, St. Paul turns to the subject of Christian moral conduct. We would think that the primary Christian moral obligation is love. Yes, but Paul thinks that it is deeper than that. For Paul, the primary moral obligation for Christians is the same as that for non-Christians. It is the commitment to justice. Paul starts by giving us a broad definition of justice that covers the entire field of human morality. In the words of Romans 13:7, which is not in today's first reading, today's reading starts with Romans 13:8. But in 7 it says, justice means give each one his due. To whomever you owe contributions, make a contribution. To whom taxes are due, pay taxes. To whom respect is due, give respect. To whom honor is due, give honor. All our duties as human beings and as Christians, our duties to God, to the state, and to one another are covered under justice, so understood. Let us take, for example, the 10 Commandments. The first 3 commandments are on giving back to God what is due to Him as our Creator. The last 7 commandments are on the debts we owe one another. In the opening verse of Romans 13, Paul talked about our duties to support the state and the government. Of course, our support is not a blind support. We only support laws and policies which we believe to be truly fair and just and for the common good of the people, and not contrary to the teachings of God and the teachings of the church. So here again, he speaks of it in terms of paying the debt we owe in justice. Now, when we realize that the one thing that is required of us in our dealing with God, with the state or with the government and with one another is justice, then the next question is, how then do we fulfill this justice? That is where Christianity has something new to say. Whereas the Jewish religion under Moses taught that the best way to secure justice is by law, a legalistic way. The Christian religion under Jesus gives a different answer. That is, the better way to fulfill justice, is by love, not by law. Therefore, Paul advises us in the first verse of today's second reading, avoid getting into debt except the debt of mutual love. If you love your fellow man, you have carried out your obligations. Love is the fulfilling of the law of justice, the debt we owe one another. The goal of the moral life remains the doing of justice, and love is the best means to achieve this goal. Some of us Christians, perhaps many today, may have some problems with this teaching. This is because we may be used to seeing love as an option, as something we may choose to do or not to do. Are we not free to love anyone we choose? Yes, but that is a different kind of love. For example, we have the love of intimate relationships. We call it eros, the vested love. In Greek, we call it philia. But these two kinds of love are usually optional and voluntary. But the goodwill love, agape, which Paul speaks about here, is the debt we owe in justice to God, to the state, and to the Christian community, to one another, and even to our own selves. So, perhaps we have heard this question, do I owe you? We hear it, for example, when we are in a kopitiam, someone in need, or even a beggar, or someone in need insistently come to us and ask for help. We may dismiss the needy person or the beggar with this irritating remark, hey, stop bugging me. Do I owe you? Stop bugging me. Do I owe you? True, we do not owe them in the legal sense, but maybe we do indeed owe them in the moral sense that Paul is teaching us here. We owe no one anything except love. If love demands that we help them out in their need, then we owe them. In the story of the Good Samaritan, the question was posed to Jesus, who is our neighbor? And Jesus answered, anybody in need of our help is our neighbor. Today we also suffer from a serious lack of awareness and sensitivity to our obligations to other people, especially the poor and the needy. Only today in the first talks we have a very prominent speaker, Dr. Gerard. In his presentation, he said last year we have 108 million displaced groups, refugees and migrants. All these people are undergoing different stages, tremendous mental stress. And how many of us are aware of that, are sensitive to those mental, emotional stress that they are going through, the hundreds of millions of people, refugees and migrant workers. Also, even today, when we hear that the country is devastated by earthquake, by typhoon, we may ask, do we owe them? The legally minded among us might say, no, we don't. Why should we? But Paul today wants us to develop the awareness and sensitivity to say, yes, we do. Yes, we do. As Christians, goodwill or kindness is not something we may choose to do or not to do. It is a debt we owe to each and to all. So do I owe you? Avoid getting into debt, except the debt of mutual love. For today, no song. I can't think of any song to sing some other time.